Welcome you all to this wonderful session of Bhagavad Gita in 18 days. I'm sure this will be a fruitful journey. I cannot see any videos on. I cannot see you all. It doesn't seem like I'm talking to someone. Can you please switch on your videos? Yeah, Hare Krishna. This seems more like, interactive session now that I can see you all. Satish Kumar Prabhuji, VSC Kirtana, Akansha Nili Mataji. So we are here today to discuss the great wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. So we all know that all our acharyas, all our authorities have unanimously voted Bhagavad Gita as the highest scripture. It is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. So we know that Vedas means all knowledge, and all the knowledge that concerns our lives is there in Vedas. You name it and it's there. And Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Vedas. So why Bhagavad Gita? Why are we here to understand Bhagavad Gita? What is the significance? So we all know that we are born in the material world and we are struggling here. We have problems here, and we are trying to get out of these miseries here. So primarily we must know why these miseries are there. So if everybody can mute their audio, there will be no disturbance in the class. During the session, please keep yourself muted and please switch on your videos so that I can see your lotus faces. So why we must know Bhagavad Gita? Why are we all here? What is the importance? So where we are struggling here with our misery. Somebody's audio is on. You please mute yourself. Yeah. So, we have so many miseries here. We are struggling. Everybody is having their own struggle, you see, in the material world. So what are these miseries of the material world? There are problems which are common, which are there, like somebody may be poor, somebody may be ugly, somebody may be rich, somebody may be poor. But what are the problems which are common to all? So these problems as per Bhagavad Gita are Janam, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. That is birth, death, old age and disease. Whether you are an American, whether you are an Indian, whether you are fair, whether you are dark, whether you are light, whether you are an animal, whether you are a plant, these problems are common to all. Birth, death, old age and disease. So nobody can come in the material world without birth. I think somebody is unmuted. Can so these problems are common to all. And the whole purpose of the human birth is to get out of this cycle of misery. Why the human birth is considered so important? Why so much importance? As per our Shastra, there are 84 lakh species of life. Yoni. Yoni means womb. So there are 84 lakh. 84 lakh species of life. And out of that, the human beings with the higher intellect, this birth is considered very important because only in this birth we can, control our senses. The intellect to control the senses is available only in the human form of life. So that is why the human birth holds so much importance in this 84 lakh species of life. So now how is it that we get out of these miseries by understanding Bhagavad Gita? So we must understand that all this pollution in our consciousness is due to our material desires. So these, whatever you desire, you see that manifests sooner or later in this material world. So is the nature of this world. So these material desires, they have to be transformed into spiritual desires. If during our human birth we are not able to get into this transformation, we will again have to enter another womb. It could be one of the species, 84 lakh species of life. And how these are connected, that will be discussed in Bhagavad Gita. So the attention that is paid here is to the importance of getting out of this material existence, which is full of miseries. There are kleshas we experience in our lives, Adhyatmic, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Devik. These are the three kleshas. So whenever we go to the temple also, you must have seen that, we do pradakshina in the temple 3 times. Why do we do that? So that we get rid of these kleshas. Adhyatmic kleshas, which are due to our karma, which are due to our spiritual elevation, the activities we do, which are born out of them, Adhyatmic kleshas, and Adi Devik, the kleshas which are caused due to natural calamities, natural forces like floods, earthquakes, and Adi Bhautik, which are caused due to the material world, material living things around us, So there are so many types of miseries here. So what is the solution? So Srila Prabhupada explains, the 5 basic truths also in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. So the 5 basic truths which are discussed in Bhagavad Gita and their relationship with each other are the Paramatma, the Atma or the Jiva, Prakriti, nature around us, Kal is the effect of time, and Karma is our activity. So how all these are correlated and how they become our destiny is all discussed in Bhagavad Gita. So in briefly, since we have to finish the first chapter today, I will be touching on some of the topics. So here, if you all have a Bhagavad Gita with you, do you all have a Bhagavad Gita at home? Yes. So if you have the Bhagavad Gita, you will see the introduction. I will show you how to go about in reading the Bhagavad Gita. So the introduction is given before, and here on the introduction page, can you see we have the prayers, the Mangala Charan. So that is why before I started the class, I recited the Mangala Charan. Because whenever you are doing something auspicious, the Mangala Charan means auspicious. So you must recite the Mangala Charan. In fact, if you all have a Bhagavad Gita, you can just turn on the introduction page and you can recite the Mangala Charan daily with me at the beginning of the class. So I have listed. So it starts with the Mangala Charan. And now comes the importance of having it in disciplic succession. Now we are gaining some very important information about getting out of the cycle of birth and death. Now, can you trust anybody or everybody in this venture? I mean, can you take guidance from everybody? So what is the qualification of the person from whom you should take guidance? That is also mentioned in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. So the person who is in disciplic succession, he is eligible to tell you about Bhagavad Gita. Because we see when information passes down, it gets corrupted. There are, just like, for example, Srila Prabhupada gives the example of a ripe mango on a tree. Now, suppose the ripe mango, it falls down. It will lose its texture, it will lose its flavor, maybe it will get damaged. So, but if the same mango, if it is passed on from one hand to another till the bottom of the tree, maybe in somebody's hand, one person plucks, he gives it to another person, he holds it, another person takes it and put it into the basket, then the original flavor of the mango is retained. So that is how the disciplic succession plays the very important role in taking knowledge. Another example which I can give you is about knowing on which platform a train is coming on a railway station. Suppose you want to know, and you go and ask a fruit vendor outside the station, I want to know when the AP Express is coming on the station, on which platform. Will he be able to give you the knowledge? No, he will not be able to give you the correct knowledge. If you want to know about the correct platform, you will have to approach the railway authority, maybe the reception there, or somebody in the railway department who will tell you correctly that the train is going to come on this and this platform. So that is how this information which is given in Bhagavad Gita has to be heard from proper disciplic succession. So here at the end of the introduction, if you have the Bhagavad Gita, it is the disciplic succession, how this information is passed down from so many generations and how it is applicable even now to our lives is mentioned. This is page number 31 in Bhagavad Gita as it is. And here the disciplic succession is given. Right from Lord Sri Krishna, it has passed on to Brahmaji, to Naradji. Brahma gave it to Narad Muni. Narad Muni gave it to Vyasadev, Madhvacharya, Padmanabha. Like that. So actually, when we are in ISKCON, we are in this disciplic succession. So when you are taking information, you must make sure that you are getting it from an authentic source. So there are 4 sampradayas in Gaudiya Vaishnava, actually just Vaishnava sampradayas. So there are 4 disciplic successions authorized. So the first one is Rudra Sampradaya, which is coming down from Lord Shiva, because these people have experienced God directly, and whatever information they have given to us is authentic. So from that disciplic succession, the succeeding acharyas have got this information to us. The second sampradaya is Shri Sampradaya, which is coming down from goddess Lakshmi, who is the wife of Vishnu or Lord Krishna. So whatever is coming down from her is also authentic. Third is Brahma Sampradaya, which is coming down from Lord Brahma. And ISKCON is in this Sampradaya. We are in Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And we have the Kaumar Sampradaya. Kaumar Sampradaya is coming down from 4 Kaumaras. So these 4 Kaumaras are the sons of Brahmaji, and they restricted their age from growing. They remain, they agreed to remain just 5 years old. And because they understood that in the material world, if their senses are more developed, they will get attracted to the different allurements of this world. So they stopped their age at 5. They were Ajivan Brahmacharis, and the Kaumar Sampradaya is also authentic. So these were the few introductions about a few points from the introduction. Actually, I'm not understanding if you are all hearing me because I cannot see many of you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Mataji.
Yeah, but would be nice if you can switch on the videos. I really am not understanding this.
Your
You all are fine.
Namaste,
Yeah,
Mataji. We are able to
namaste.
hear.
Hare Krishna.
Uh,
Yeah,
we are able to hear and we are understanding everything clearly. Thank you very much.
you are.
Really privilege to hear from your grace.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So now we come to the main part, that is why this Bhagavad Gita is, considered as the topmost or the Vedic essence. So in the introduction itself, in the end, we have Gita Mahatmya, that is uh, the confirmation by the acharyas. So if you look at our Bhagavad Gita, the end of the introduction, this is page number 29. There is the Gita Mahatmya 1. So here there is a further Gita Dhyayana Silasya Pranayama Parasya Cha Naiva Shantihi Papani Purva Janma Kritani Cha. If one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely, with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him. The Lord says very loudly in the last portion of Bhagavad Gita 18.66 shloka number. So here we have the testimonies. Now two. Sarva dharman parityage mameka sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami masucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear, thus the Lord takes all responsibility for one who surrenders unto him, and he indemnifies such a person against all the actions of sin. So the fact that we are in the material world and we have a body which is being tormented by all these kleshas means that we've had a sinful reaction in our life. So now how to get rid of these sinful reactions? So the entire process will be in detail explained in Bhagavad Gita. We have furthermore now, who can be the highest authority in testimony? God himself. And Bhagavad Gita is spoken by none other than Bhagwan Lord Sri Krishna. So now we must understand whom will we consider as God? What is the definition of God? The page number for Gita Mahatmya is 29. So God himself is speaking about Bhagavad Gita and the importance and significance of Bhagavad Gita. What more testimony would we want? So who is Bhagwan? Can you consider anybody Bhagwan? Can you consider any powerful man Bhagwan? No. The Shastra gives us the definition of Bhagwan. So what is the definition of Bhagwan? Bhag means opulences. Bhag means opulences. Van means a person who wears them. So Bhagwan is a person who wears opulences in full. So we see opulences in the world around us. So what are these opulences? So there are 6 opulences which God has in full. That is how we know he is God. Everybody and anybody cannot be God. And if you read the Gita Mahatmya last, page number 30, Ekam Shastram Deviki Putra Gitam Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva Eko Mantras Tasya Namani Yani Karmapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. So, In this present day, people are very much eager to have one scripture, one God, one religion, and one occupation. Therefore, ekam shastram devaki putra gitam. Let there be one scripture only, one common scripture for the whole world. Bhagavad Gita, eko devaki putra eva. Let there be only one God for the whole world. Sri Krishna. Eko mantra tasya namani, and one hymn, one mantra, one prayer, the chanting of his name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all Upanishad is just like a cow. The Lord Krishna, who is famous as a cowherd boy, is milking this cow. Arjuna is just like a calf, and learned scholars and pure devotees are to drink the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita. So the Lord has 6 opulences in full. Only he should be considered as the Lord. How will you recognize who is God? If somebody comes in like Hiranyakashipu, he always said, I am God, pray to me. But Prahlad refused. Why? Because Prahlad was in knowledge. He was given knowledge even when he was in his mother's womb by Narad Muni. So he knew who was God. So he refused to accept his father as God. So these 6 opulences are all strength, all wealth, all beauty, all knowledge, all uh, power, and all renaissance. There are 6 opulences which the Lord has in full. These will be discussed in Bhagavad Gita again. So he is most beautiful. He is the wealthiest. He is the proprietor of everything that we see, inanimate or animate, in this world. The entire universe belongs to him. Most wealthy. All knowledge, whatever knowledge we see around us, whether any science about we know about, maybe our country, but we don't know about the entire universe, but he knows. So he is incomplete, most beautiful. Whatever beauty you see in the world is just a fraction of the beauty that Lord has. So when you see all this, and all renaissance, the topmost is that he is detached. Though everything belongs to him, he is not disturbed by its absence or presence. That is renaissance. You are detached. So these 6 opulences decide who God is. And that is why we must not accept anything which is not there in the Shastra. And all the Acharyas unanimously have agreed, whether it is Ramanujacharya, Sripad Ramanujacharya, Sripad Adi Shankaracharya, and all, they all have unanimously, selected Lord Krishna as God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nobody is equal to him or nobody is more than him. So now we start with Bhagavad Gita. For a brief introduction, Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. Right from chapter 1 to 6 covers the other yoga processes. Yoga means linking to God. Chapter 7 to chapter 12, Bhakti Yoga is discussed in detail because this is the most authentic, and it has been agreed by Lord Krishna himself that Bhakti Yoga is the topmost. And then from chapter 13 to 18, we'll discuss the modes of material nature. There are 3 modes of material nature and they will be discussed. So now we begin with the chapter 1. We are not going to recite all the shlokas as the time period is limited, but the important shlokas we are going to recite. So we are going to begin with shloka number 1. Dhritarashtra uvacha Dharam kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamaka pandavaschaiva kimma kurvata sanjaya. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? So we must understand now who all are participating in this war. A brief introduction is given in the first chapter. The name of the chapter is Observing the Armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So we must know what is Kurukshetra. Now, the first chapter tells us about the entire story of Mahabharata in brief. So here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, both the parties, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, who are of the same dynasty, Kuruvansh, they have gathered here to fight. One brother's children fighting against the other. So why this situation has come? Who are the characters involved? Why was Kurukshetra selected? And who was Lord Krishna siding with? So the first shloka starts with an inquiry by Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra is the blind king who is, whose sons, Kauravas, that is Duryodhana and Pati, have refused to give, they have been cheating the Pandavas of their kingdoms. There are a lot of episodes which have happened. And now they are here to fight and they refuse. They send them by, deceit, they send them into the forest, they snatch away their property. And when they come back after the Vanvas to take back their charge, he refuses. He says, no, I'm not going to give you anything. In fact, Lord Krishna approaches Duryodhana and he says, if you do not give the entire kingdom, at least give them 5 villages. Because Kshatriyas need a place to rule. They belong to the Kshatriya, Varna. But Duryodhana refuses. He said, I'm not going to give them land even equal to the tip of a needle. How adamant he is. And because Dhritarashtra is blind here, and this is very significant. Why Dhritarashtra is just blind? He is not just, physically blind. He is even spiritually blind, Dhritarashtra. Because he is not even able to see the, malice in his own children, the malice and desires, their, desires to, take away or everything, even though they do not have any right to do so. So adharma. So here we must understand that this war which was fought at Kurukshetra is known as the Dharma Yuddha. So why Dharma Yuddha? What was it that Lord encouraged this war? Why? What is the basis? So we must know that there are 4 pillars of Dharma which are imbibed in our Shastra. And these are principles. Whether we are of any faith, whether we are a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or Jew, anything, these 4 principles are applicable to all. If these 4 principles are compromised, there is instability in the society and everybody's peace is lost. So what are these 4 pillars of Dharma? So these 4 pillars of Dharma are truthfulness, austerity, cleanliness, and the 4th one is intoxication, is cleanliness, and there is one more pillar. There are 4 pillars. This first one is austerity, truthfulness, cleanliness, and compassion, mercy. Whenever these 4 pillars are compromised, there will be reactions, and the stability in the society is lost. So briefly, we will discuss these four pillars. The first one is austerity. So austerity is lost when you see the main thing is that austerity, it was there in Satyuga. You know that there are four yugas: the Satyuga, the Dwapar Yuga, the Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Okay, they are also significant. How the progression takes place and how the society is degraded in this yugas, that is also explained. So in Satyuga, the lifespan of individual was very long, 1 lakh years. They could live up to 1 lakh years. And they could perform austerities. What is the meaning of austerity? Austerity is willingly taking hardships to keep our senses away from sense objects. That is the actual meaning of austerity. And these austerities are recommended so that we can dovetail our, desires and gradually rise to the platform of transcendence. Because of our desires, our activities take place. Whatever is our desire, to fulfill that desire, we undertake so many activities. And these are like, now you see Duryodhana's desire. His desire was to take away everything. And what was the activity he planned? The Dyut Krida, the Lakshagra, he tried to burn the Pandavas. So because of a polluted mind, his activities were also polluted. So that is why austerity is important. So when austerity is lost, the cleanliness of the heart is destroyed. So these four pillars, then you come to the next is truthfulness. Truthfulness is also a pillar of dharma. And when truthfulness is lost, again, there is pestilence, war, which again was, this principle was broken by Duryodhana. He resorted to all kinds of lies, all kinds of, planning and into, cheating, everything he did to just get that kingdom. And the third is intoxication. So intoxication also, it you see, makes a man mad, and he wants to break all the principles. So intoxication is not just drinking or smoking. Intoxication can be caused due to excessive desire for wealth also. A person can get intoxicated with power, with money, and that is what happened with Duryodhana. And cleanliness, this principle is lost when especially illicit sex desire, you see, that is what causes this unclean mind. And what did he try to do to Draupadi? The desire to enjoy his own brother's wife, derobing her. So Duryodhana broke all these principles. And that is why this war was a dharma yuddha. So normally people give this thing that, wars are allowed by Lord Krishna. No, it's not like that. There is a criteria. And here in this war, all these principles were destroyed by Duryodhana and party. And Dhritarashtra, who was the father of Duryodhana and Kaurava, knew this very well, that his children are on the wrong side. But it's not possible for everybody to accept truth. So Dhritarashtra, he asks Sanjay. So Sanjay is the charioteer of Dhritarashtra, and he's been given this Divya Drishti to see the war even though they are in the palace. And he is narrating, because Dhritarashtra is blind, he is narrating all the the episode, whatever is happening on the Kurukshetra to Dhritarashtra. And here, the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Dhritarashtra asks, Dharam Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsava. So it is a very redundant question actually, because it is quite clear that a war is going to begin and both sides are ready to fight. But he still asks, why? Because they are at Kurukshetra. So Kurukshetra is a Punya Kshetra. And a pious place always has its impact. If a positive person is there in a pious place, he acts more piously. And if a negative person is there in a pure, like pious place, his negativity increases. So like that, uh, Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjay, ki, what did they do? They have gathered there. He knows that the war. What he was doubtful about was that Kurukshetra is a pure place. And if the purity affects his son, they might just withdraw from the war, which he didn't want because he was also greedy. He wanted his sons to win and get the throne back. His desire to have that throne was there from the beginning, and that is why they polluted activity. So that way, if you see, the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita can be divided primarily into 4 sections. The shloka number 1 to 13 is the preparation for war. The characters of the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, all the parts, they are described briefly. The character of Dhritarashtra, the character of Duryodhan, the character of Dronacharya, Bhishma Pitama, which we will briefly touch. And shloka number 14 to 20, we will study the signs of victory which Pandavas have. Because Lord Krishna was with them and they were on the positive side, they were on the Dharma side, they had all the signs of victory. Shloka number 20, 21 to 27. We get a brief introduction of Lord Krishna as Bhakta Vatsalya. How Lord agrees to even, serve his devotees like Arjuna, even as a charioteer, how loving Lord is towards his devotees. These shlokas will discuss, these 7 verses will discuss Lord Krishna as Bhakta Vatsalya. And shlokas number 28 to 46, we are going to read about Arjuna's doubts. Why Arjuna withdraws from the war and what are his doubts. So whenever we take decisions in our life, we consider good and bad based on our perception of a situation. But what is actual good and bad, that Lord Krishna is going to explain to Arjuna. So initially we get a brief introduction to the characters of Mahabharata. Dhritarashtra, I have already told you that he was blind spiritually and physically and a very ambitious king who could not even see the misdoings of his own son. Actually, the weaker are protected by the stronger. And that is the main responsibility of the king. The king is strong, so he protects the praja. And because the Pandavas were weak, they lost their father, Pandu, at a very young age. And they were weak, so they had to be taken care of. But instead of, taking care of them, Dhritarashtra is always planning, how they get out of his way and his son's way. So this kind of a corrupted mind Dhritarashtra had. Even if you look at the story of Dhritarashtra, why he was born blind and 50 births ago, what he had done is also very significant. Why he came to, because this material world is a place of reaction. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Whatever you do, as you do, so you reap. This is the law here. So we see that in this material world, laws can change, but the laws of Lord do not change for anybody. So here Dhritarashtra's character is described, and in shloka number 2, we see that Duryodhana's character is described. In fact, Duryodhana's diplomacy is discussed. So after this, Sanjay, the king Duryodhana, went to his teacher and spoke the following words. So from shloka number 2 to shloka number um, 6 and 8 also, the Duryodhan's diplomacy is described. So here we see whom does first of all Duryodhan go to, and what is the character of Duryodhan? So Duryodhan is very selfish and he can go to any extent to get power. He is so blinded by material, assets that he can break all the principles which are set forth in the Shastra. So firstly, because he is a very diplomatic person. You see, Duryodhan was a very materially smart person. The fact that his army was much bigger than army of Yudhishthir Maharaj itself sees that materially he could convince others to fight even for the wrong purpose. And everybody who was gathered there on Duryodhana's side, which was not on the side of Dharma, they were all being misled. And in fact, many a times these kind of wars, natural calamities are arranged by the Lord himself to just wipe away this unreligious population. So they were all promoting, these adharma activities. So now it is said that he goes to first Dronacharya. Duryodhana goes to Dronacharya and he tells him. So shloka number 2 describes, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following word. So Duryodhana had to motivate Dronacharya because Dronacharya was always positively inclined towards Pandavas. But because he was employed by Duryodhana, he was fighting this battle. And Duryodhana was very doubtful whether Dronacharya is going to be partial here. He may not agree to kill Arjuna, though he is very powerful. So Duryodhana wanted to make sure that Dronacharya performs well in this battle. So he goes to his guru Dronacharya and he asks him, O my teacher, that is shloka number 3, O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. So the military, the commander of the Pandavas is Drishtadyumna. He is the son of Drupada. And Drupada had enmity with Dronacharya. Drupada and Dronacharya were friends. They were together in the Gurukul. And once, just jokingly, Drupada, he tells Dronacharya that whenever, oh friend, you need help of any kind, you come to me. And when they leave the Gurukul, one day, Ashwathama, Dronacharya's son, he doesn't have milk to drink. And he goes to his friend, his wife says, you go and see, he's a rich person, he will help you. He insults Dronacharya. He fails to recognize him. And at that time, Dronacharya, in fact, he says, I will give you a part of my kingdom, but he refuses and Dronacharya is very hurt. And because of that, when he, teaches Pandavas, as a Guru Dakshina, he asked for them to capture Drupadi because he wanted to take revenge. And the Pandavas capture Drupad and they get him and, and they ask him to plead in front of Dronacharya. And Dronacharya's ego is satisfied. So our ego makes us do so many such activities. And as a repercussion, Drupada performs a yajna in which he begets a son and a daughter for the purpose of killing Dronacharya. The son and the daughter are Draupadi and Drishtadyumna. And when Drishtadyumna comes to his Gurukul to take, schooling from him, he knows, Dronacharya knows the purpose for his creation. He knows that Drupad has begot this son Drishtadyumna to kill him. But that doesn't deter him from imparting knowledge to Drishtadyumna. He trains him to the best of his ability. He trains him thoroughly in archery, in war front, everything he teaches him impartially. Now, further we will discuss the character of Dronacharya also. So that is what, in fact, Duryodhana is trying to tell his guru his mistake. See, by being impartial, what a big blunder you have uh, committed. This Drishtadyumna, who was begotten to kill you, you taught him to arrange the army, and today he is standing right in front of you. See how foolish you have been. So Duryodhana was very diplomatic. Very politely, he could give the bitterest of messages to everyone. So here first and the fourth, Atra Sura Mahashasa Bhima Arjuna Samayudhi. Here in the army, there are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna. Great fighters are Yuyudhana, Virata. So he is telling Dronacharya, see, there are so many people in the on the other side of the army also. So he's naming all of them in Shloka number 5 and 6. There are mighty, you the very powerful Uttapada. We will not go into the names. So here, Bhavan, Bhishma, there are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and some of Somadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in the battle. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives. So he is very diplomatically encouraging his army people to fight impartially, whether it is Dronacharya or Bhishma Pitama. So here we also get a brief, introduction to the character of Dronacharya, who's a Brahmana, who's very liberal, and who has followed all the principles in his life. So, and again, our strength is immeasurable because Duryodhana's army had 11 Akshoni, Sena. That is, 11 Akshoni is a number, and he had 11 Akshoni Sena, whereas Yudhishthir Maharaj had only 7 Akshoni Sena. So he's encouraging his people by saying, see, we are much larger in strength. We have Dronacharya, and then he feels the need to even include Bhishma Pitama in the conversation. And he says, Bhishma Pitama is with us. But then again, in the next few shlokas, he understands, that other youngsters might feel offended if I am going to praise Bhishma Pitama so much. So Karna may not like it because Karna never liked Bhishma Pitama. So he says in Shloka number 11, all of you must give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points to the entrance of the phalanx in the army. So he gives them also importance. He says that Bhishma Pitama has now become old, so you must also support him. So in a way, he is like praising everybody and encouraging them to fight well. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire, Shloka number 12 of Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly. Now after hearing all this, Dronacharya and Bhishma Pitama had to give confirmation to Duryodhana. Yes, we understand and we are going to do our dharma, we are going to fight on your behalf well. And that is why, to encourage Duryodhana, Bhishma Pitama blows his conch. So here the grandsire of Kuru dynasty could understand the inner meaning of the heart of grandson of Duryodhana. Out of his natural compassion for him, he tried to cheer him by blowing his conch shell. So in the coming shlokas, the conch shells of everybody, the kind of sound they created, what message they gave is discussed briefly. So Bhishma Pitama, he blew his conch shell to confirm his participation to Duryodhana. And when the conch shell is blown, it's like a signal that the war has begun. And so the entire party, the soldiers, after that, they blew conch shell, drums, bugles, trumpet, horn. They were all suddenly sounded, and combined sound was tumultuous. So on the other side, both Shloka number 14, Lord Krishna and Arjuna stationed on great chariot drawn by the white horses sounded their transcendental conscience. Why transcendental? So transcendental means which is beyond the material world, which is beyond the material miseries. That we will understand in the coming chapters of Bhagavad Gita. What is transcendental? So here even the Pandavas, they blew their conch shells. There was tumultuous sound when Bhishma Pitama blew his conch shell, but it was nothing compared to the conch shell of the Lord and the Pandavas. So here the different conch shells of the Pandavas and Lord Krishna are described. पाञ्चजन्यं ऋषिकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जया पौण्ड्रं दद्मौ महाशङ्खं भीमकर्मा विक्रोधा. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater, performer of Herculean task, blew his terrific conch shell called Poundra. So here Lord is addressed as Rishikesha in this shloka, which is very, very significant. Rishik means senses and Isha means the controller. Isha always means the controller. So here the Lord blew his conch shell, Rishikesha, he is. So why is he addressed as Rishikesha? So all our senses, we have 5 senses, that is eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin, by which we experience and perceive the world around us. But we fail to understand the master of all these senses is Lord Krishna. And these senses are created for his satisfaction. Everything that we experience is experienced by the Lord who is residing in our heart. So Rishikesha, he is addressed here as Rishikesha. So here Srila Prabhupada explains, but he directs in terms of surrender of the living entity and in case of a pure devotee. So he is the director inside our heart. And his conch shell is Panchajanya. And the sound which is created by Panchajanya is transcendental. It does not belong to the material world. It is beyond the material world. And in the next shloka 16 to 18, the conch shells of King Yudhishthira, the king of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya, and Nakul and Sahadev blew the Subhosha and Mani Pushpaka. The great archer of the king of Kashi, the great fighter Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virata, unconquerable, Satyaki, Drupada, the sons of Draupadi and others, O kings such as Mighty Arm, son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conches. So basically the war has formally begun. The blowing of these different conches became uproarious. There was so much sound that everything was shaking there on the battlefield. So now we come to the section 14 to 20, the signs of victory here. So this section has begun. So the first sign of victory was the conch shells of the Pandavas. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman. Now we come to the shloka number 20. First 19, you see the conch shells, and 20 shloka number, the chariot of Arjuna, which was again sign of victory. At the time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman. So on this special chariot which Arjuna had was given to him by Agni Dev. And this chariot has its own significance. Nothing could destroy. Because it was by Agni Dev, and fire could not destroy this. And this, the the sign of victory was that Hanuman's pataka was there on this chariot. Hanumanji, who is the great devotee of the Lord and who won the battle of with Ravan, you know, he won. He played his part very well in winning that battle and doing service to Lord Sri Ram. So this was another sign of victory. Took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in the military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. So Arjuna was also ready. He blew his conch shell and he had all. The most important thing that he had was Lord Krishna seated on his chariot himself. This was a great sign of victory. Wherever there is Krishna, there is victory, there is Lakshmi, everything comes there. So these were the signs of victory which Pandavas had. So Arjuna had this desire, and in shloka number 21 to 22, Arjuna tells Lord Krishna, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight. Senyorubhiyor madhye ratham sthapitam achyuta achyuta. He addresses Lord Krishna as Achyuta here. So Achyuta has two meanings. One is that he never fails to protect his devotees. That is one meaning of Achyuta. And the second meaning is he never falls down from his constitutional position. So what is the constitutional position that we many times, denote as Dharma? What is actual Dharma? That also will be clarified in the coming chapter. So we, in Narad Pancharatra, Narad Muni has given the definition of, the constitutional position of Jiva, that is us, the Atma. Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. So what is our constitutional position? We are the eternal servants of Lord Sri Krishna. This is our constitutional position. And whenever we fall down from that position, we become Chuta. Achyuta means he never falls down from his constitutional position. What is the constitutional position of Lord Sri Krishna? He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagwan. He never falls down. So another meaning of Achyuta word is he never fails to protect his devotees. He always eager and ready. He never fails. So that is the meaning of Achyuta here. Let me see those who have come here to fight. So let me see those who have come here to fight. And he desires to go and see the army on the other side. So he says, Lord Krishna, please take me in the middle of the battlefield so that I can see both the sides and see whom I have to fight. Let me see those who have come to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. So he wants to see who all are there in Duryodhana's army. And Lord Sri Krishna, Sanjay is narrating all this to Dhritarashtra. So Sanjay said, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of armies of both the parties. In this word, Arjuna is referred to as Gudakesha. Gudaka means sleep, and one who conquers sleep is called Gudakesha. Gudakesha, why Arjuna was addressed here as Gudakesha? Because he would practice archery in the dark. He wanted to master archery, and he would practice archery in dark. And to practice archery in dark, he used to keep awake at night. And for many nights, he practiced like this, but he would not feel sleepy even though. So he conquered sleep. Another meaning of Gudakesha, sleep is also referred to as ignorance, because ignorance is sometimes, sleep is sometimes, termed as ignorance because of our ignorance of our constitutional position. We perform activities which really do not benefit us. For example, there is a person who is very highly educated, but he does not know what his name is, who he is, from where he has come. Will you call that person intelligent? No. So that is why when we forget our constitutional position to love and serve God, we are in a fallen state. We have fallen down from our actual constitutional position. And the entire Bhagavad Gita is an attempt to get us back to this, to realize this constitutional position of serving the Lord in the right way. So we come to Shloka number 25. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all other chieftains of the world, the Lord says, just behold Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. So actually Lord Krishna, he is seated in everybody's heart, and he can see the heart, what is happening inside the heart of a person. The biggest mystery of this world is that, we cannot know what is in the other person's mind, but Lord Krishna, we cannot hide anything from him. He knows in deep inside that Arjuna is not willing to fight, and he wantedly tells him that behold the armies gathered on the other side. And in Shloka number 26, Arjuna could see within the midst of armies both the parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his father-in-law and well-wishers. All relatives, everybody related to him is present on the enemy side. What a fate. And the people he loved and regarded so much, even though Duryodhana did so many, things to the Pandavas, even then some amount of affection he still had. So Arjuna, when he sees everybody there, his uncle, aunt, grandfather, brothers, relatives on the enemy side, he just, he's so disillusioned. And he speaks to Lord Krishna in such a way, Arjuna Vacha, Senyo. So now here we come to Shloka number 25. In the presence of Bhishma and Drona and all the chieftains of the world, the Lord says, just behold Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. Next Shloka 26, Arjuna saw all his relatives. And then when the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. So when we are attached to something, we feel very bad if that person misbehaves with us. For example, if you come to know that, in some city, some house has caught fire, you are not so much affected. But suddenly, if you get a call that your house in some place has caught fire, you feel the grief. So why we feel the grief? because we are attached. So like that, even Arjuna, when he sees his uncle, aunt, and he sees I have to fight and kill these people, he's taken over by grief. And he's and he speaks to Lord Krishna and says, Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up. So this is the situation, this is the mental condition of Arjuna at the beginning of the war. His hands are shaking, his mouth is drying up. So he tells that because he's taken over by grief, attachment, he's attached to the people on the army side. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kesi demon. Again, he's addressing Lord with so many names, Kesi demon. Lord Krishna had killed the Kesi demon, and now this demon-like thing in his mind is disturbing him. So the entire Bhagavad Gita is progression of mindset of Arjuna from a bewildered state to sthita prajna, a stable mind. And this is the problem even we are facing. We are in a disillusioned state. What to do, what not to do, is this right, is this wrong, why I have so many problems, why God has put me in this situation which I don't like. We want to run away from our situations. So from here, the actual Bhagavad Gita begins. This is the mindset of Arjuna at the beginning of the battle. Due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stay on the battlefield. He was forgetting himself on account of this weakness of his mind. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in such a bewildering condition of existence. I told you, material attachment is like that. It will put you in this kind of a confused state. So this is the state of mind which Arjuna has. The words nimitani, viparitani are significant. When a man sees only frustration in his expectation, he thinks, why am I here? And he is completely derailed. He's not even able to hold his bow Gandhi in his hand. He's sweating, he's shivering, he's feeling very weak. So, Shloka number 31, I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. So you please see the mindset of a devotee here. What is the mindset of a devotee and what is the mindset of an evil person like Duryodhana? There is a comparison. Earlier we have seen what is the mindset of Duryodhana, how diplomatic he is, how cunning he is. And here you please see the mind of a devotee, how Duryodhana is perceiving this war as per his perception and how Arjuna is perceiving this war as per his conditioning. So our good and bad are relative in this world. They are based on our conditioning in the past. Duryodhana had the conditioning of associating with Shakuni, his mama, and all this cunningness, the kind of association we keep that forms our personality and character. And here, Arjuna, who was constantly associating with Lord Sri Krishna, just look at his mindset. He is not least bit selfish. Even though he's been kicked out of his kingdom, they don't have any money, nothing. He still does not have any animosity towards the Kaurava. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle. Nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. So, uh, Arjuna does not see any good coming out of this battle, and he gives reasons for that. So we are in the last section of the chapter 128 to 46. O Govinda, of what avail us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself of all those whom we may desire? So he gives so many reasons for not fighting the battle. First of all, he says, who may desire now arrayed in this. Matlab, the people I love, the people I regard, and the people whom I, adore, they are all here. And what benefit will I get by killing them? So here we see that Arjuna's arguments, if we properly break down, comparison 1.28 to 1.30 is compassion. His compassion for the enemy side is exhibited, and then he gives reason from shloka number 1.31 to 35 about enjoyment. A person, whatever he does in the material world, whether you buy a car, whether you buy a big house, whether you buy clothes, is to show to others, your relatives, your friends, your car, and he feels that what will I enjoy when all the people, my relatives, are destroyed? Whom will I show my opulence to? Whatever kingdom I get, it will not give me any happiness. There will be nobody to see my opulence only. You are asking me to kill all my relatives. So, fear of sinful reaction. Shloka number 1.36 to 1.38. If I am going to kill all my relatives, I will incur sin. Killing is a sin. It's a very big sin. So these are his arguments. He's giving doubts. He's asking Krishna. He does not see any good anywhere. And number 4, destruction of family. Shloka number 1.37 to 1.43. One is supposed to protect one's family, and here you are asking me to kill. My own family, my own clan will get destroyed. There will be nobody to take care of our pitra. We have actually Pancha Yagna, which is performed. Pancha Yagna means we are indebted to 5 people. When we take birth as a human being, we are indebted. The first one is the Devatas, the demigods, because they create the surroundings around us, Agni, Vayu, all these are, there are 33 crores Devi Devtas. They provide us all the facilities to live in the material world. So one has to repay that debt. These are all debts, rin. And the second one is our Guru, who gives us knowledge. We are indebted to them. 3, we are indebted to our parents. Pitra Tarpana we do. Why we do? Because they give us this material body, our parents. They take care of us, they educate us, they make us qualified. They teach us how to live in the material world. You are indebted to them. You have to serve these people and offer sacrifices. And 4, we are indebted to so many people in our lives, our friends, Manishirin. So many people are there who have helped us, our teachers, they could be our professional colleagues who have helped us. We are indebted to these people. We must always be grateful. And 5 is the Bhutarin. Bhutarin is we are indebted to the plants and animals around us. So he gives the argument that if I wipe out the clan, Who will do these sacrifices? Who will offer tarpana to the pitras? And everybody will suffer in hell because it is there in our Shastra. All this confusion is there in Arjuna's mind. He is so confused. In the end, he tells in Shloka number, in the last Shloka, that he's become very indecisive and not able to decide what to do. So, Hare Krishna, am I going too fast? Are you able to follow up? Are you all able to follow up?
Yes,
Yes.
Didi. We are following you.
Thank
you
you.
so
Thank you so much. So all these doubts he gives, why? And he does not a bit like the situation he has been put into. Many a times, even in our lives, we face situations which we just don't like. So what we like and what we don't like is because of our conditioning. Duryodhana likes to do all evil things, and he does not even feel little bit of guilt while doing that, because his conditioning has been such that he is liking all, adharma things. And look at the conditioning of a devotee. Even though people are trying to kill him, he does not think evil about them. What a, contrast. So here we'll briefly discuss all these points. My whole body is trembling, he says to Lord. O Govinda, of what avail our kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed in this battlefield? O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brother-in-law, other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? So all these points I have cited out to you. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friend. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of goddess of fortune? How could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? So here, Srila Prabhupada in his purport explains, who are the people who can immediately be killed? This is there in our Shastra. There are 6 types of aggressors whom we can kill immediately. We will not incur any sin. This is specially mentioned here in the purport. Number 1, a poison giver. A person who poisons others and kills them, he can himself be killed. That is why in many cases, even in our law books, the punishment for murder is death. He can be killed because he has taken somebody else's life, and he has restricted his spiritual, because whenever we get a body, that is for our purification. By going through the miseries there, by taking up, we get purified. And if suppose we kill something like an animal also, if there is a goat, and we end its janma, by killing it, its spiritual journey also is, abruptly disturbed, because again he will have to take birth as a cow, and he will have to finish that period, and then only he will get into another unit. So we are like restricting by killing. Number 2, one who sets fire to a house. A person who sets fire to somebody else's house can be killed immediately, as per our Shastra. Then 3, one who attacks with deadly weapons without any provocation If you are suddenly, killing somebody with deadly weapons, nowadays in all slaughterhouses it happens though, you can be killed immediately. One who plunders riches and one who plunders riches, now usurping the property of others. That is what Duryodhana did. He just, took away the properties due to the gambling match. So, one who plunders riches, one who occupies another land. Whatever is not entitled to you, and you occupy that land, that also Duryodhana did. These 6 aggressors can be killed immediately without any reaction. So later Lord Krishna is going to explain to Arjuna that he is not going to incur any sin by killing all these people, because anybody who performs these sinful activities and also those who support them can be killed. So even though Bhishma Pitama was a very pious person, but because of his Bhishma Pratigya, he still agreed to, fight on Duryodhana's side. Even he was entitled to be punished, because had he continued helping Duryodhana and protecting Duryodhana, so these kind of Bhishma Pratigyas also we must take very wisely. Promoting the wrong cause and trying to promote all these adharma activities and helping them will also put us in that reaction. Such aggressors can at once be killed, and no sin is incurred by killing such aggressors. Such killing of aggressor is quite befitting any ordinary man, but Arjuna was not ordinary person. This is for normal people, but Arjuna was a devotee. He had so much compassion. He didn't want to harm anybody. Just look at his mindset. Why Lord Krishna agreed to help the Pandavas? Though at the beginning of the war, because Lord Krishna is related to both Duryodhana and Arjuna also. And when they both come to meet him, he knows what corrupted mind Duryodhana has, and he's sleeping. He calls Arjuna and Duryodhana both. And Duryodhana comes and he says, Lord Krishna has called us to give us what we want. If I am going to sit near his head, as soon as he opens his eyes, he will see me and he will ask me first, Duryodhana, what do you want? And he goes and sits near the head of Lord. And when Arjuna comes in the room, before the war, he says, I don't deserve to sit near the Lord's head. Let me sit near his feet. And he sits near the feet of the Lord and he says, whatever the Lord gives me, I will take. So the mindset is so different. And when Lord gets up, he sees Arjuna first, because he gets up. He doesn't open his eyes first. He just gets up and he sits. And near his feet, Arjuna is sitting. And he sees Arjuna. And now Duryodhana again is panic stricken. Oh no, again. So Lord Krishna says, I have only 2 things with me. One is me and one is my Narayani Sena. And since I am related to both of you, I can give you 1 each. So, and Lord Krishna also says that in this war, because he is related to both of them, he is not going to raise any weapons. He is not going to, fight or do. He will just be neutral and he will be with whosoever wants him to be with him, with his guidance. That's all. So Arjuna says, Lord, I do not desire anything else. I want you. And in his mind, Duryodhana is very happy. Oh, what a fool. He should have asked for Narayani Sena. The Lord Krishna has said he is not going to raise any weapons, and he is asked for Krishna himself, of what use is that? And then when so Lord Krishna says, okay, I will be with you because that is what Lord wants. And Duryodhana very, morosely he says, okay, then I will have to take the Narayani Sevana, what else? And he's happy inside, bubbling with delight. Oh, thank God, Arjuna asked for Krishna. I always wanted the Narayani Sena. So, but he does not realize that victory is always where Lord is. Wherever Lord is, Lakshmi Devi's consort is there. And wherever he is there, Vijay is there. He does not have this insight. That way, if you see, he's quite foolish. O Janardana, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, so no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying family, engage in these acts of sin? Okay, they are foolish. They are not giving us property, but war is going to destroy so many things. It will destroy the family, property, everything. And the whole dynasty will be wiped out. There will be nobody to do tarpan for our ancestors. With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished. So what is a tradition? Tradition is a norm. In many ways, these norms, all these are designed, the rituals and whatever we do in each family, they are all, designed so that gradually we get out of the cycle of birth and death. Without knowing the purpose of these rituals and traditions, we perform them without knowing what is the actual purpose behind them. They are all designed so that we elevate, we transcend these three modes of material nature and get out of the cycle of birth and death. So all these reasons Arjuna is giving for not fighting the battle. When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny, Varna Sankara. So irreligion is prominent. When so many men are killed, what happens? The women are widowed. And when they are widowed, these women are misused. You can see that. So many wars, the Ukraine war, if you even see the wars that have been fought earlier, the women are ill-treated and they are corrupted, polluted by other men. And the children who are born, they are so, the mother also does not take care of such children. They are unwanted, they are undone, and they grow up to be criminals. They become Varna Sankara. Varna Sankara actually means irresponsible population. If you see the Varnashrama system, there is a very systematic, division of labor in a society, the Vedic society. And the Grhastas especially are in charge of taking care of the other ashram. Grhastas are allowed to earn money and they are supposed to take care of the other four ashram. There are, we have Brahmacharya, Grhastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. So the Grhastha is supposed to take care of the Brahmachari, that is the children. He is supposed to take care of the Vanaprastha, the old people. And he is also supposed to take care of the Sannyasis. Sannyasis, people who are in the renounced order. That is why charity is recommended to all Grhasthas. They have to give some amount of charity for these purposes, for brahmacharis, for vanaprastha, for sannyasis, because the other varnas are not allowed to earn any money. They cannot. Their occupation is different. So a grahastha needs to take responsibility. But when you have varna sankara, they don't take up any responsibility. First of all, they don't want to get married. They don't want to have children. You get married, you have to take the responsibility of a wife. So that is what is happening now. They don't want to take responsibility. So what is the result? There is so much Varna Sankara, unwanted population. These unwanted children who are loved neither by the mother nor the father. Nobody wants to take the responsibility. And the entire society is corrupted. So he gives this valid reason as per Shastra, Arjuna. So here, there is a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5541. Anyone who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, the giver of liberation, giving up all kinds of obligation, has taken to the path in all seriousness, owes neither duties nor obligations to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, this sloka will come again in the answer which Lord Krishna gives to Arjuna. That why these 5 debts I had spoken to you about, the demigods, the Acharya sages, the forefathers, the Manishirin, the Bhutarin, all these debts have to be paid. You are supposed to earn and you are supposed to repay these debts. This is a responsibility. And when unwanted population is there, they don't do anything. But higher philosophy than this is that a person who has taken to the devotional service of the Lord, he is automatically rid of all these debts. He does not need to pay anything separately. So then, dosha reta, so by the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. So when we live systematically in a society, we work first for our family, extended responsibilities, community, still more extended responsibilities, country. But the best thing is to work for everybody's benefit. This service attitude has to be cultivated in children. If this service attitude is not cultivated at a very young age, the entire society will be destroyed. Now you see the example of Canada. They are inviting immigrants. Why? They don't have population. They have destroyed this taking responsibility system, which is enjoined in the Vedas, that you must take. So what has happened? Because the family life is destroyed, there is no young population. The old people are bound to die and the new generation is not coming. So what will happen? So this Arjuna knows, he has knowledge of all this, and he is putting forth this argument. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession, and those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. So called prashta. So people who incur such sinful activities, they go to hell. They have to experience hellish life. So I don't want to become like that. Why are you asking me to fight and perform this gory act? Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts, driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent on killing our own kinsmen. So this desire for sense gratification, Arjuna knows, is so bad that a person will go to any level to fulfill his desire. He forgets all the principles. He is aware of that. And he puts forth, but he is not understanding that becoming the king of a kingdom is a responsibility. It is not sense gratification. Whenever you get a powerful position, it is to take responsibility. what is the responsibility? The greatest responsibility is to try and, help others get out of the cycle of birth and death so that they don't come back here. That is the greatest responsibility that anyone can take. And in earlier days, it was the king's responsibility to guide his praja to, in such a way so that they elevate spiritually and gradually they get moksha out of this. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapon hand in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. So Arjuna feels that it is better that the Kauravas, they kill him instead of I killing them and going to hell, incurring so much sin just for sense gratification, just to enjoy a kingdom. That is, that is not going to benefit me in any way. And so he gives forth his arguments, his doubts. And in the end, Sanjay said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So grief is a sign of contamination. Please remember this. Whenever we are in grief, we are in a contaminated state of mind. That is the description given in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. How Arjuna's mind was so contaminated with grief because of wrong thinking. He was arguing, and how Lord Krishna, now he smashes all his doubts in the coming chapters. All these doubts, all these questions which Arjuna had asked, comparison, compassion, enjoyment, fear of sinful reaction, destruction of family, indecisiveness. Somebody is unmuted. Can you please mute, please? And Arjuna, he just refuses. He loses all motivation, and that is what happens to even us. We lose all motivation to work, to perform our duties, because some desire is not getting fulfilled, something is disturbing us, we don't see anything positive coming. And happiness, the soul by nature seeks happiness because that is the nature of the soul. Such chid anand, this is the nature of our soul. Such means eternal, chid means full of knowledge, and ananda means bliss. So we are blissful by nature. So whenever we are in grief, it is a sign of contamination. We are polluted in our thought, and that is why we are experiencing grief. And this was the case with Arjuna. And he just puts aside his bow down on the chariot, and his mind is just so, it is filled with grief. He's not able to think clearly. And this comes to the end of the chapter. And Sanjay described all this to Dhritarashtra, to his happiness. He's happy. Arjuna is withdrawing from the battle. Good for Duryodhana. But Bhagavad Gita will continue. We will have some questions, last 10 minutes. Any questions or comments by you all?
Namaste, Matasri.
Namaste. Hare Krishna.
Session. We enjoyed a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. So, thank you so much, Mataji. But it will be nice if you can give me your views. If you don't have questions, at least your viewpoints, because we must interact on a personal level. That is what will form a relationship. How our relationships are formed, that is also explained in Bhagavad Gita, how we have to live. So please give your views, open views, suggestions in the last 10 minutes. I will love to interact with you all. I don't see many of you though Geeta Kulkarni, C. Kirtana, Mataji Jugal Paleja, Megha. Everybody is out of my sight. It will be nice at least in the end if I can see you. Hare Krishna. Are you all hearing? Are you all able to hear me?
Hare Krishna, ma'am.
Hare
We
Krishna.
can hear you.
I can't see you also. I'm feeling, I don't know if you are hearing or not. If you can turn on you, it will be
Hare
nice.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
We are hearing Mataji. I don't know much English, but I understand.
Okay, okay. No problem, Prabhuji. You can still tell me your viewpoints. You can tell us. It was heavy. Actually, Bhagavad Gita is quite heavy. Uh, it is heavy, and 18 days is definitely not sufficient to understand Bhagavad Gita. I'm still trying to understand. But at least you will know about the flow of Bhagavad Gita, how it is progressed. Just look at the progression of mindset of Arjuna. A derayed, disillusioned, grief-stricken Arjuna to a blissful, fighting warrior who wins the battle. So that is what Bhagavad Gita is all about. And this journey, how it gradually begins, is a systematic way. And how we also progress in our life to coming to a state of mind when we are not disturbed by the externalities of this world. So this is a shield that Bhagavad Gita provides. When we are untouched by the grief around us, we are able to see clearly the things happening around us and act accordingly. And when we live in such a way as per the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, we will, we will be able to transcend all the material miseries that are there in our life. And we will have to we will learn to perform our duties with the right attitude. Um, yes, it will be. So,
Yes, Mataji, I am very much impressed the way you have explained, and this is first time that I was just searching for a course, and somehow I got to know about this. And the heaviness, I think, what that heaviness is about. Actually, I am little bit confused about the arrangement because sometimes the names are confusing. So what happens that I have clear cut idea that who is Kaurav, who is Pandav, but in between the other characters. So that the characters positioning and how means they entered with which intention, these are the confusing. Otherwise the essence or the thing which has to be which has been mentioned, like the crisis, person's crisis, and which creates the existential crisis. Okay, what to do
yes,
when the loved ones, so to whom I was loving, huh? So this kind of attachment and I can understand that because I have been in that situation, so I can understand and relate.
yes,
Sometimes it seems as if means I'm telling my personal experience, like it seems as if that I have been just dropped into this situation and now deal with it.
yes.
Someone is testing me. So,
This
so
is the case. This
very
is
much,
the case, Mataji. We are all identifying with Arjuna. We are actually, Bhagavad Gita is not spoken just for Arjuna. It is for all of us because everybody is fighting this battle. Everybody, and you don't realize. So,
so I have one question, like because I need some clarity. So I was
Hare Krishna. Somebody is. Somebody is unmuted. Rohini Mataji, you can speak. I will just look for the person.
I have question that means not in the way As a means what I'm understanding, that if means our situation is like Arjuna, okay, means the mind, our mind is actually it's to make us understand, it's like a character these are playing, but always it's a kind of warfare between the mindsets and all. So I'm just thinking that okay, in everybody's life there is crisis always, and these are testing times, and I take it as a litmus paper, that okay,
Yes.
a litmus test is going on. Now I will get to know that who will be just very much transparent and very much pure, and filtering, sort of
Yes.
filtering.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So the Krishna as a person means I am thinking that he is the higher conscious who is guiding us, or he is a godly figure, or he is the supreme being. Means there are many multi-dimensional things going on. So he is the, I think, since he is the Sarthi of that chariot. So I think that he is the not a person but a consciousness which is very much pure, to which if we connect, so are all these means confusion, irritation, and the problems and crisis we feel, and we feel helplessness at that moment, will somehow, I think, will automatically be in tune with the higher one. I think so. Is this making any sense?
As I grasp your question, Mataji, please remember one thing, that whatever transformation comes in our personalities is because of our association. Just
Okay.
like, there is an iron rod, and
Mm,
if you are going to put that iron rod on an ice, brick, it will become cold.
mm,
And if you're going to insert that same rod in fire, it will behave like fire, right?
okay.
So our mindset also is influenced by our conditioning in life, what we have associated in the past.
Right, right, right.
And here, Krishna is a person. He is the highest consciousness, definitely. And we are of lower consciousness,
Mm,
right? So when we associate with the higher consciousness, definitely our consciousness is going to be elevated. And when we are associating with lower consciousness, for example, look at Kekai.
mm,
She was a nice person, but she associated with mantra. She took her point of view and accepted it. And it cost her the kingdom, her son, her husband, everything was ruined. So this discretion we must practice in our life, whom to associate with, whom not to associate with. That clear-cut discretion is provided in Bhagavad Gita. If you are going to continuously associate with the lower consciousness, you will be pulled down. Now, how Arjuna was pulled down, that will also be explained. Why? And Lord Krishna tells him in chapter 2 that why has this contamination overcome you? Contamination takes place due to ignorance. When we don't know what is right, what is wrong correctly, then we experience this disillusionment. That is why Bhagavad Gita is there to give clarity about the subject,
mm.
whom to associate, whom not to associate, what to accept, what not to accept, how to live without a reaction. All these are there, guidelines are there in Bhagavad Gita. I hope that answers your question,
Yeah,
Mataji.
yeah, very much. Yeah. Thank you so much. And means it's I was just from so many years I was thinking where to start, from where to start. But in between, this means within last 20 or 1 month, it has been so that I have got connected to some of the people, uh, brought this Bhagavad Gita as it is in English, and there is one person who is monk. He's practicing in Vrindavan, and I just
Okay.
uh, means somehow we just met uh, on some platform, and I asked, can you please share your means something to contact, so that I will be studying on my own, but I will keep on asking, but I will not not irritate you, like, okay, always asking questions. So there are so many questions, and uh, there were many myths also in my mind, misconceptions we say, regarding how the this social aspect, cultural, and what we say, like how we see Krishna as a character, not like the person which we are supposed to understand. So I just realized that okay, it is delaying, and because of my these misconceptions, I am not able to means even touch and take any step towards the book. But there was thing that okay, I have to read the book, but someone can please remove this blockage, because two three things, if those are clear, so I will keep on going, okay, I can start. And what happened, I realized, okay, let me start. Okay, these three things can be done, let me check. Because my I am as a person a very, all types of curiosity comes, like questioning, always questioning. So from childhood until now, it is very difficult, it has been very difficult journey to fit in the present scenario where I am living. Like I sometimes feel okay, this person, even I don't know that why he is doing, but okay, it's fine. But now I cannot tolerate. This was my limit. So there are many things which I was able to relate when I met that person online. So it was very nice. So, and suddenly yesterday I got to know that okay, finally this course is starting, because it was starting with on the first week of the April, I think 1st April, something like that. Then I thought okay, maybe it will take time. So this means the excitement level that okay, from tomorrow onwards 18 is, because with me one problem is there, that if a teacher is there, if a face to face or even live teacher is there, so I can just do anything, ask questions, everything. But if there is no teacher, so I just keep on, it will go, but very with the speed of a snail, very slow, very slow.
That is
And
what association does. You, if you have to go to the 10th floor by a staircase, uh, you will go maybe in half an hour, 45 minutes. But if there's an elevator, teacher, guru,
yeah,
you
yeah.
just fly up. So that is the importance of a guru. Or,
Uh,
so,
and Mataji, one more thing that I have realized, even observing that here, what we are living, like I feel it as if I'm stuck in this. I feel it. So gender based and all these things. So sometimes people use words from scriptures so conveniently, regardless of knowing the context, that it gives like wrong impact. So sometimes this was the reason that I didn't go to this level, that okay, no, I will not going to read this book because these things are there. Then I thought ki, okay, let me check, maybe I was not prepared before, let me check. And to this is the coincidence, I was expecting okay, someone with orange dress will be sitting, some guruji or something like that. But actually a lady teacher, that too with so much insight. So I am so much impressed, like it's a dream coming true.
Mataji, I think it was an arrangement by Lord Krishna. And the one shloka very relevant is Bahunam Janmante Gyanvan Man Prabadnate Vasudevam Sarvamitim Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. After millions of births, somebody will venture to inquire about this knowledge. and will realize Vasudevam Sarvamitim, that Vasudev is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and cause of everything. The Mahatma Sudurlabha. It's a realization which comes with purification after millions of births. And this begins with association. I will tell you the Navada Bhakti, the 9 processes of Bhakti, how you progress. And once you progress, the satisfaction or contentment you feel inside you, I cannot explain it to you. You will have to experience that. And I'm here for that, to make you experience this satisfaction. So, any more questions? You can always send questions to me. We will shortly make a question box. And if you are not able to ask any questions during the session, you can ask that separately. Whenever we find time, we will send you audio. So that's all for today. No more questions, I guess. We will see you all tomorrow. Till then, Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.